Good evening, welcome to Central News for Thursday the 19th of September. I'm Hilary Entwistle. In today's news, the Property Council's Waikato branch is calling for local body amalgamation as a better way forward. The council says that the Waikato has 11 territorial and 1 regional authority for 400,000 people, making the system over-governed and poorly planned. The call for local body amalgamation has sparked some debate, but the Property Council say the case is strong. Thomas Gibbons from the Property Council says that there is extensive and unnecessary duplication occurring currently, and there is a call to be more future-focused in our changing region.
3 reasons. Regional voice is key, getting our voice heard in Wellington. The second issue is making sure we have consistent standards across the region, making sure that the system isn't too complicated for users. The third is we want better recognition of local communities in our system, so that we don't have Mata Mata Piako, one big council made up of actually 3 distinct communities and a big rural hinterland around it. We need to recognise and allow for localism as well as having true regionalism in the Waikato.
Bay Plenty Regional Council has pulled more animal carcasses out of Tauronga's Wairoa River this week, following illegal dumping along the riverbank last month. 3 deer carcasses were reported dumped under the bridge, just upstream from popular whitebaiting areas. About 2.5 tonnes of illegally dumped rubbish, which included sheep carcasses, guts, skins and heads, tyres, batteries, engines, computers and car parts, was recovered along a 200-metre stretch of the river in mid-August. On that occasion, it appeared that sheep were taken for meat from nearby farms. Police were alerted at the time, along with some adjoining landowners. Regional Council Pollution Prevention Team Leader Annabelle Ellis says the deer may have been taken for meat as the carcasses were butchered. Now for our region's weather, Hamilton, rain with northerlies. Your expected high is 18 and an overnight low of 12. Friday for Tauranga will be raining with a northerly too. Your expected high is 18 and an overnight low of 13. Just ahead, a new book on social issues. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. A Tauranga local is about to release his 16th book titled Millennium 3: Unresolved Issues of Our Times. George Bright aims to challenge us to think about why we haven't resolved the 12 issues he thinks plague our society.
Well, I've always written about social issues. I've written a number of books. And about 3 years ago, I suddenly asked myself the question, why are these issues which I'm discussing never resolved? So I set about looking at some of the key New Zealand issues and asking the question, why are they not resolved? Despite all the legislation that's been passed, all the white, green, pink and blue papers that are produced, all the projects that are undertaken, some of the issues are getting worse. So that's what I wanted to do, probe those issues.
What are those 12 issues that you think plague society today?
Well, if you want to find out the 12 issues, you can read the book. But the first chapter is about political correctness. And I've examined what's been happening over the last decade and how political correctness is really driving us towards a different New Zealand psyche. We're becoming a soft generation. And I've examined what will happen in the future and some ways of arresting it, perhaps turning it back.
What do you think we're doing wrong?
Generally, across the nation with social issues, the basic problem is that we legislators and heads of organisations and others are treating people as 2-dimensional figures, just physical. So, because of that, we just throw money at things and hope it'll solve them, but it doesn't. People are 3-dimensional, and the book outlines ways of getting behind that physical presence and looking at the spiritual nature of people. That's nothing to do with religion. It means looking at their desires, their hopes, their aspirations, their ambitions, the spiritual side of things. And another thing that's wrong is that we attack the symptoms all the time. Now, we're pretty good at that. We throw money at the poor and hope that that'll solve the poverty problem, but it doesn't. We need to examine the causes and look behind why are people poor and how do they behave when they're poor and how can we help them. That's just an example.
You mentioned that we need to look at the whole person. How do we, treat the whole person when it comes to governing?
That is what they're going to have to look at. You see, because parties get into power here, their whole intent and purpose is to stay in power, right? And they tend to take the shortcuts. Now, it's a challenge, I know, to look at the whole person. Sometimes we verge on the edge of it. For example, Paula Bennett, the Social Development Minister, when discussing child abuse issue, she says we've got to get back to basics, get back to the ground, the bottom of things. And Owen Glenn said, we've got to get to the bottom of things. That's what he said. And that's what I'm talking about. To get to the bottom of things, you have to look at the whole person. And it's a challenge for government, I agree. But it's something, if they want to improve the social issues in the country, they're going to have to do that.
How do we shorten that gap that is widening between the poor and the rich?
The gap between the rich and the poor was much narrower in the 1940s and 1950s. We were known around the world as an egalitarian society. But in the 1980s, I wrote a book about the widening gap, and it was starting to increase and widen. And in the mid-1980s, with Rogernomics, the gap widened tremendously. So now we have a very, very rich and a very, very poor. There'll always be a poor, I think, if we want to maintain a free economy, a free market economy, or even a mixed economy. If you reward enterprise and you reward incentive, there's always going to be a poorer group and a wealthier group. But there are ways and means, and we have been working at ways and means from time to time of narrowing that gap. I think one of the basic things is to look at how we can help those who are on the poverty line develop resilience and develop their skills to break out of the poverty trap and to develop the lack of self-esteem, to improve on their lack of self-esteem. I know families who are on the breadline who cope very well, and sometimes they break out of that and get into that middle class group. I know other families on the breadline, same income, who are trapped and they can't move. So we can work at it, and if we look at the third dimensional approach.
Do you think that self-esteem issue is a big issue of getting people out of poverty?
With the poor, there's a lot of people who are poor who have quite good self-esteem. I'm not saying everybody's got lack of self-esteem, but the families that tend to go under and do lack self-esteem. Not only that, they lack skills and they lack the get up and go and they lack resilience.
So what are you aiming for with the book? What are you wanting to happen from it?
I've written this book to make people sit up and be aware, because if you are aware of an issue, you're likely to do something about it. Now, the recent GCSB bill that came before Parliament, a lot of people started protesting because the media helped to make people aware. And as a result, things were toned down a little bit before the bill was passed. And that's what I'm talking about. If people become aware of some of these key issues, they'd like to do something about it. And I want to shake up the leaders of our community, the councillors, the politicians, those who lead organisation groups, say, hey, look, something can be done about these things. Let's not spend millions and millions and millions of dollars wasting our government money, our people's money, on issues and not solving them.
George Bryant's book Millennium 3, Unresolved Issues of Our Time, will be released on the 26th of September. Coming up next, we meet two talented young musicians. Welcome back. They are still in high school, but wowing the world with their musical talents. After winning at international music competitions and being named rising stars in New Zealand, Dominic and Anna Lee are sure to have bright futures ahead of them. I caught up with them early in the week to hear about the recent trip. Welcome to the program to both of you. Now, what instrument do you play, Dominic?
Oh, I play the cello.
Yep, and Anna, you play the...
I play the violin.
Any special cello or violin? You play the electric or you play the, the...
No.
Run of the mill? Yep.
Yeah.
So when did you start playing?
I started playing when I was around 8 years old. I went to one of my mum's friend's house and someone was playing the cello. So yeah, I liked the sound of the instrument, so I asked my mum if I could play. So yeah, that's how it started.
Wow, and when did you start playing?
I started playing when I was 6. I followed my brother to his lessons, and one day, apparently, I started crying and asking if I could play as well. Yeah.
Wow, never to look back, eh? Now, to be as good as both of you are, you know you're doing so well internationally as well. How often do you have to practice?
We practice every day. In school days, which is quite busy, we practice around, well, I practice around 1.5 hours, I think, to 2 hours, I think. Yeah.
Really? Every weekday?
Yeah.
And you practice on the weekends as well?
yeah, every day.
Wow, that's so disciplined. How much do you practice?
I practice a little less than my brother, but usually 1 to 2 hours.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That is very disciplined. So when did you first enter your first competition?
My first competition was, I think, after 3 years of playing, I think. It was not a big competition, I think. It was a competition in Tauranga against my age category. And yeah, it was quite fun.
And you won?
Yeah.
Wow, how did that feel?
That felt very good.
Yeah, it kind of inspired you to keep
Yeah.
going and win some more. What do you feel like after you kind of competed?
After I first competed, well, it was really kind of a new experience, and I was happy, yeah. Just the fact that I played in front of people, yeah.
Yeah, all that hard work kind of, paying off. Now, you've both competed internationally. Now, I've got to read this so I don't get it, and my pronunciation is probably going to be really bad. In the Vuelta Valencia in Italy, is that right?
Kind of, yeah.
How do you say it?
We don't know the correct, but something like Vuelta Valencia, international music competition.
Wow, so what is that?
It's a international music competition in Varallo, Italy. Yeah, it's a nice town with all old Italian buildings, and it was in the central of the city. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
And so it was a classical or just string instruments?
It was for stringed instruments and pianos. Yeah.
Wow. So how did the competition go?
Oh, good. Yeah. I got overall first place and won the Monte Rosa Kauai Prize.
Wow. That's an international thing. And you're only year 11, so you're probably
16 years old.
16.
Yeah.
That's amazing. How did you feel when you competed?
Oh, I was really nervous before, but once you kind of go on stage, you kind of forget about everything else, so it was good.
Yeah, and did you do well?
Yeah, I got first place in my age group. Yeah.
Internationally, that's amazing. Just from little old Bethlehem, down the road. And so you also competed in Seoul and on the way home from Italy. So how was that?
Oh, Seoul was a different experience, I think. It was also in the city, I think, yeah. And there was lots of contestants there, and I got first prize at that competition as well. But yeah, it was fun.
Wow. So there were more competitors in Seoul?
I think there was a wider range of ages, I think, in Seoul. There was lots of little people and lots of old people as well competing, so yeah.
So what kind of music do you play? Do you prefer playing classical, or do you prefer playing more contemporary, or...?
I enjoy playing maybe contemporary classical music, like 20th century music, yeah.
Yeah, and what do you prefer?
I'm more of a romantic kind of music player, yeah.
Now, you also both competed in the Rising Stars Concerto competition. So what was the result there?
For the first time, my sister beat me in the competition. Yeah.
So how did that feel?
I was really, really shocked. Yeah, I was actually I think my mouth like opened on stage. Yeah, it was good though.
So did you do a victory lap around the house, rubbing it in?
No.
And now, what's your next plans? Like, are you really want to keep going as once you leave school and go to university, or you just want to keep playing music full time?
Yeah, I want to play music full time and make cello my life, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Anna?
Yeah, I want to keep on going. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds great. So maybe in the future we might see you guys, on worldwide international stars. Thank you very much for both coming in. What a talented family. To watch Dominic or Anna perform, you can find recordings of their concerts on YouTube by searching their name. Just ahead, ensure it's safe. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. There have been recent changes to insurance policies. So, how many of us are now insured incorrectly? And we caught up with the Director of Insurance Safe to talk about the new changes.
Hi Mai, welcome to the studio. Now tell us about the changes to the current insurance policy.
Sure. Look, I'm sure that many viewers have noticed all of the ads on TV and within the newspapers, etc., telling us about the changes coming with our home insurance policies. So really, in a nutshell, what it is that the onus has been put on the homeowner to correctly value their homes, okay? And so the responsibility now is on the homeowner to accurately value the building that they live within. So that's the big change.
Okay. So when is this going to take place, and is it the same for each insurance company?
No, I believe for each insurance company it's a wee bit different, but it is coming. Most of the insurance companies are changing to this kind of a policy. And so some are changing early next year and some of them have already made the change, so we just need to be ready.
And now tell us a little bit about Insurance Safe and how this will complement those changes.
Yeah, sure. So Insurance Safe is a website account, or it's a system that we have created. Okay, it's another development that's been brought by Lock and Load New Zealand. Lock and Load New Zealand exists to bring innovative solutions to the industry, and Insurance Safe has been created to deliver an innovative solution. So in regards to the insurance changes, Insurance Safe allows the homeowner to make a detailed collection or record of the building or the particulars of their building, which is their home. So for instance, you could put categories into Insurance Safe like the exterior cladding, their bathrooms, the kitchen, etc. You can take photos of all of that detail within the buildings, and you can assign a value next to these categories. And then Insurance Safe will value up your building for you, and then you'll know more accurately exactly the value of your home.
Wow, okay, so how is it easy to use, and who can use it?
Yeah, sure. It's been created for all New Zealanders really. In relation to the insurance change, it's for homeowners. So it's very easy to use. You simply go to insurancesafe.co.nz, you put in your own username and login, you create your own website account. From there, if you've got a smartphone, you can download the Insurance Safe app, and you can take your photos and add your categories if you like from there. If you don't have a smartphone, no problems. There's the facility there to upload photos, etc., from your PC or from your digital camera, for example.
Wow, it all sounds so easy. Yeah, and so how might this benefit those who do log their valuables?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's a tool that just allows you to make more detailed records of your valuables, your assets, but of the building that is your home too. So as I said, because you can put different categories into Insurance Safe, it allows you to make more detailed records of everything within your home, from your kitchen, your bathroom, the exterior cladding, what your roof is made of, etc. So that's what Insurance Safe allows you to do.
And who might use this?
Sure. In relation to the changes with the insurance, homeowners would use this. They would use this.
Yeah. And are there any more features to the site as well?
Absolutely. Look, if you just want to log an inventory of all of your valuables and assets, so we're talking about your jewellery, your electronics, those sorts of things, well, again, it's easy to use. You simply are taking photos, you're making notes in relation to the photos, you're adding a value, and that you're sending it to your InsuranceSafe account. Now, the most important thing about InsuranceSafe is that it's a cloud-based system, and what this means is that all of that information is readily available to you should all of your paper documents, for example, go up in smoke. Or the tragedy in Christchurch, the earthquake, and some people were not able to get into their physical residence. So in that regard, it's a cloud-based system. This information will always be safe. You can access it from any computer that has internet access, and that's an important feature within InsuranceSafe.
Cool. Okay. So, what exactly is the website? How can people get their hands onto it?
Yeah, sure. Go to insurancesafe.co.nz. In there is a lot of information on how the site works. Good tutorials there as well. Otherwise, contact us for assistance if you need assistance to set it up, of course. You just click sign up now, put in your particulars. If you're using a smartphone, then you go to the App Store and download the relevant app. Otherwise, if you're going to manually upload photos, etc., get your digital camera out and upload them into the relevant space within InsuranceSafe.
So a lot of people are incorrectly insured out there and are possibly unaware about it as well. So how can this sort of help them as well?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, if we're all honest, it's something that we want to get around to doing, if you like. And InsuranceSafe just gives us a proactive stance, if you like, to prepare ourselves. I mean, since the earthquake, everyone's been talking about emergency kits and, you know, being prepared for these sorts of tragedies, and InsuranceSafe is another tool in that regard. It will ensure that you are protected in this way, that important information, your documents, the receipts, invoices, photos of your valuables are all correctly and quickly logged. And the good thing about that is that if a tragedy does occur, you can easily retrieve that information, but in addition to that, I can email that very quickly to my insurance company. And you can just imagine how that helps then to mitigate the delays in insurance claims. And especially if you're in a situation where you can't get into your residence, then you know that you already have that information safe to share.
That is the news for today. We really want you to be involved. So like us on Facebook and let us know your views. If you have news including your own video and photos, go to our website and hit upload. Thanks for joining us. I will be back tomorrow night with more guests from in and around our regions. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.